The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog and join the Progressive Army.
The citizens of our country.
During our town hall today, you threw out a date where you think America can be working again, and that's Easter Sunday.
No.
That's 19 days from now. How did you come up with that day?
Well, it's 19 days, but add another 7 because we've been doing this now for 7. So that's from the time we heard about it.
7 to 9.
From the time so from the time we close it up. So you could add 7 to 9. Look, Easter's a very special day for me. And I see it sort of in that timeline that I'm thinking about. And I say, wouldn't it be great to have all of the churches full? You know, the churches aren't allowed, essentially, to have much of a congregation there. Huh. And most of them, I watched on Sunday online. And he was terrific, by the way. But online is never going to be like being there. So I think Christ. Easter Sunday, and you'll have packed churches all over our country. I think it would be a beautiful time. And it's just about the timeline that I think is right. It gives us more chance to work on what we're doing. And I'm not sure that's going to be the day, but I would love to aim it right at Easter.
Oh, my God. Governor DeSantis of Florida, what do you have to say?
Some people have said, well, you know, we just see New York. They've issued a shelter in place for the entire state. You know, shouldn't Florida do that? And I think given our circumstances, that would not be advisable. It would be a very blunt instrument. When you're ordering people to shelter in place, you are consigning a number, probably hundreds of thousands of Floridians to lose their jobs. You're throwing their lives into potential disarray. And if that were something that were necessary statewide because the health comes first, you know, that would be one thing. But if you look at Florida's situation right now, this is not a virus that's impacting every corner of the state. We have 20 counties that have 0 cases at all. And we have about 25 counties that really have only a few cases. Some have 2, some have 5, some have 7. You do have an outbreak in Miami-Dade and Broward counties, but those are different from places like Northwest Florida. Oh, my God.
All right. Glenn Beck, what do you have to say?
At home panicked. I want to have a frank conversation with you and ask you where you stand. I'm in the danger zone. I'm right at the edge. I'm 56. In Italy, they're saying if you're sick and you're 60, don't even come in. So I'm in the danger zone. I would rather have my children stay home and all of us who are over 50 go in and keep this economy going and working. Even if we all get sick, I'd rather die than kill the country, because it's not the economy that's dying. It's the country. And I'll show you just what's happening.
Okay. Texas Republican Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick.
And that's what I see. I've talked to hundreds of people, Tucker, just in the last week, and making calls all the time. And everyone says pretty much the same thing, that we can't lose our whole country. We're having an economic collapse. My message is that let's get back to work. Let's get back to living. Let's be smart about it. And those of us who are 70 plus, we'll take care of ourselves, but don't sacrifice the country. Don't do that. Don't ruin this great American
you're basically
dream.
saying that this disease could take your life, but that's not the scariest thing to you. There's something that would be worse than dying.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Steve Hilton, another Fox News host.
Our ruling class and their TV mouthpieces whipping up fear over this virus. They can afford an indefinite shutdown. Working Americans can't. They'll be crushed by it. You know that famous phrase, the cure is worse than the disease? That is exactly the territory we are hurtling towards. You think it's just the coronavirus that kills people? This total economic shutdown will kill people. Keep the ban on large gatherings, but stop the total shutdown for everyone and start the total protection of the elderly and those most likely to need hospitalization. Don't turn a public health crisis into America's worst catastrophe. Save small business, flatten the curve, not the economy, and do it before it's too late.
Oh boy. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it hasn't been the country has not even been in a full lockdown. Most people are still operating the same way they would have always operated. And yet, just 1 week in, a week and a half in, the Republican Party has converted into a full-blown death cult. Example after example, from the President of the United States to Fox News host. And now yesterday or 2 days ago, I think I mentioned this to you, the Wall Street Journal editorial board put out an opinion piece rethinking the coronavirus shutdown, wondering if the economic harm from taking care of this virus or halting the spread of it, flattening the curve, is worse than the virus itself. I don't I wanted you to hear it from their own voices, from their own mouths, just in case you hadn't heard those clips. It's important for you to hear very directly from the people who are advocating this, because now this is the talking point of the right. How many people can we sacrifice in order to preserve our economy? And today they're coming out with, it probably is out now, a Senate bill. They have agreed upon a bill with the President of the United States. They're going to send it to the House to try to get them to pass and then do some reconciliation and get some checks cut. But guess how much they're going to give American people? The American people, you can get about $1,200 one time. One check of $1,200, but they are going to pour over $6 trillion into the recovery. But only $1,200 per American person is included in that. $4 trillion of it is coming directly from lending from the Fed, going to corporations to bail out, to shore up the economy, to shore up the markets, et cetera, et cetera. But each American is only going to get about $1,200, which is not enough for anyone to pay any of their month. Not even like, I don't know. Even for people in the working class who have lost their jobs, $1,200 is not going to cover their bills, not even for 1 month. And so they are creating the conditions that are going to force people back into the workplace before they should go back, which is going to lead to even more people dying. They're trying to, quote unquote, save the economy. But what they're honestly doing here at this point, they're killing Americans. They are consigning people to death. All in the name of capitalism. I know we covered this yesterday with the hashtag not dying for Wall Street, but they're doubling down, and they have created the conditions where people are going to be desperate enough to go out and try to make some money in the middle of a goddamn plague. And I guarantee you not a single voice that you just heard is going to be willing to go out there first. They are going to they are the ones who are going to sit comfortably in their homes and in their offices with their full protection of the Secret Service and all of the equipment and the medical. The White House has a respirator, has a ventilator, has a full-blown doctor's office right there. You think Donald Trump is going to be exposed to anything? And even if he is, you think he can't get the best care? All of these individuals, all these Fox News hosts that you just heard, Glenn Beck, do you think that they don't have ventilators at their homes already? So even if by chance they happen to get the virus, they can get care that you will never get. You won't get that care because you're not rich, because you're not famous. And that's how this thing is. I don't care it's the proof is in the pudding. The fact that that rich people are the ones who are able to get the tests without any symptoms. They have no symptoms whatsoever, and they're all able to get tests just because they're concerned. They're worried. Well, hell, I'm worried that I have it. I'm deeply worried that I've had it. I haven't had 100% quarantine. I had to go pick up groceries the other day. I accidentally went to the post office, to the mailbox, not the post office. Went to the mailbox, and I'm not even sure if I really did I wash my hands immediately after? You know, everybody is panicking. Everybody wants a test, but who's getting tests? Not people with symptoms, not people who are in emergency rooms coughing, not those people. Rich people who are sitting at home and just a little bit nervous. I'm a little bit apprehensive about this virus. I think, I think I accidentally got exposed by going to the mailbox, and so let me go get a test. Right? Imagine me who's showing no symptoms, but because I didn't have 100% quarantine, being able to go get a test just because I'm nervous. While people are in the emergency room, people are caring for Nurses are caring for people with the virus, and some of those nurses can't get tested themselves. This is what's happening with the testing phase. What do you think is going to happen when everyone needs treatment, when somebody needs that ventilator? So I said that to say that those people, those voices that are telling you to go back to work, I guarantee you not a single one of them, not one of them is going to go out there themselves and expose themselves to danger. And if by chance danger comes to them, maybe they ordered a package and they didn't sanitize it right. Be careful picking up your packages outside. Be careful checking your mail. But let's say peradventure, one of them happens to get, they're just unlucky and it came to their doorsteps and they got the virus. They have a level of treatment and care that they have access to that you do not. And yet they are telling you to go back to work. And they are creating conditions that's going to force you to go back to work that both Democrats and Republicans have it's something. I guess Democrats are like, well, it's better than nothing. I guess you're going to get $1,200 one time. Let's get the American people $1,200 one time while we're going to bail out all of these titans of industry. Our political class has utterly failed us, and people are going to die. And for those of us who survive, we need to throw every single one of them out of office in November. If they presided over this disaster, they do not deserve to be in Washington, D.C., if we even have a Washington, D.C. at that point. Because we have set ourselves on a trajectory. Somebody got in my mentions, this is such alarmist propaganda. They're like, you're exaggerating. What do you think is going to happen? Like in Italy, do you think we're going to be any better? Do you think your American exceptionalism is going to protect you from what happened in Italy when we have worse controls? We have not instituted any lockdown in major cities. The lockdowns that have been instituted came too late, but in all the other cities, they're not even doing a lockdown. Hell, they tried a lockdown here in Atlanta and people are still out in the streets. What do you think is going to happen when it hits us the way it hit Italy? And all of those videos go online and go viral of people mourning their loss, people putting bodies outside of their homes because nobody is coming to pick them up. You think I'm being alarmist? Nope. But we can be distracted for a few seconds by the patron party.
Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show and support The Benjamin Dixon Show.
Here we go. We still have to party, ladies and gentlemen, because somehow or another we got to be able to survive this without losing our minds. So, very special welcome to Ariana Miller, Andrew Carlson, Shannon Bridges, Shannon Bridges, Cynthia O, Jesse McNew, John Reeves, Charles Yaker, Noonie Schumacher. Very special welcome to Thomas. Very special welcome to Eric Broder. Thank you for becoming a patron. Jesse Roberts, thank you for becoming a patron. Mr. Hands, thank you so much. And Jennifer Edwards Scotts, thank you so much for becoming a patron. You too can become I think I know Jennifer Edwards. What's up, sis? You too can become a part of this family by going to patreon.com/The BPD Show, getting twice the content with none of the ads like you're going to hear right here. Welcome back. Yep. Welcome back. So, none of these people, not a single one of these people who's telling you to go back to work, none of them are going to go back. None of them are going. They are currently trying to minimize the impact that they're going to feel, right? So my assumption is going to be that they have secured their family, that their families are already quarantined, and they're going to make sure that not a single person in their family, as much as they possibly can control it, is going to die from this. The Glenn Becks of the world, the Steve Hiltons, the Fox News hosts, the Donald Trumps of the world, all of them have secured their families. They've secured their income. Now they're trying to secure their portfolio by making sure that you go back out and work for them. Meaning that they are willing to sacrifice you and your family. Because here's the thing. It's not just you, the individual who goes out to work, that catches the virus. It's bringing it back to your household. And you can't get tested, so you won't know as this thing slowly incubates in your system. And so up to 2 weeks, you would have infected everyone in your house before you even realize you have symptoms. This is some sadistic shit if I've ever heard it in my goddamn life. But this is where we are. This is where we are. This is so far beyond what we see. For a minute there was a glimmering hope that the Republican Party and Donald Trump would do the right thing, because the right thing is actually good politics. The right thing is actually good humanity. The right thing would be to write every American a $2,000 a month check, at a minimum $1,500 a month per American, a check. Let them stay home. Suspend most of the cost of living expenses and let us ride this out until we have a vaccine. But that's not, that would have secured Donald Trump's future. He would have easily got him reelected because it was the right thing to do. It was good politics. And for once, good politics could align with doing the moral and just thing. But that was not enough. They had to make a last-ditch effort to preserve what's left of their economy, in which they derived all of their wealth. Right now, the richest people in the world are sitting back looking at their portfolios just dwindle away for the most part, except for Jeff Bezos, whose money is going up, 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 because everyone is still ordering on Amazon because they can't go to the store. And people like Jeff Bezos, I'm not going to lose my point, but I want to talk about Jeff Bezos for a second, because he's now on Amazon.com. You can offer to donate to Amazon employees so that they can have some sick time off. Donate your money to Amazon, whose owner is the richest man in the goddamn world, but you've got to donate so that he doesn't have to see any decline in his obscene wealth. We see you, Jeff Bezos. We see every single one of you. We are, listen, let me tell you something. Lloyd Blankfein, who started this, who was along with Donald Trump starting this idea that everyone should just go back to work. Let's protect the vulnerable, but send everybody else back to work. Do you see young people are dying of this now? 36-year-old principal for Brooklyn died. Young black woman. 12-year-old little girl here in Atlanta struggling in ICU in a coma. We had a 19-year-old out in California die of this virus. 1,000 new cases. You heard Governor Don DeSantis, but we had 1,000 new cases in Florida that are connected either to the voting that took place that should not have taken place last Tuesday, or to the spring break that was taking place, which should not have taken place last week. So young people are vulnerable to this, but here you have people like Lloyd Blankfein, who's telling us to let's protect the old people, but send the young people out. Then you have other people saying, no, let's send the old people out and let them just, fend for themselves. The lieutenant governor from Texas, the Republican lieutenant governor from Texas, that's what he said in his clip. And what I'm trying to tell them is, you're getting ready to have millions of people unemployed, and God forbid, but almost every single one of them are going to lose a family member, whether it's an extended family member or a friend, an extended friend. They're going to have somebody in their life that they're going to lose as a result of this because of how Donald Trump handled this from the beginning. The virus is not Donald Trump's fault. The way America handled it is Donald Trump's fault, and the fault of Republican governors across this country. Now, if any Democratic governor is behaving the same way, throw them in the whole lot. This is not, I don't care about, listen, we don't do false equivalences on this show, so I'm not going to just throw in Democrats just for the sake of throwing in the Democrats. No, I'll throw them in there when they have done something wrong. And this bill that all of them are getting ready to vote for, including Bernie Sanders, that's only going to give everybody $1,200 a month. Now, shout out to Bernie Sanders, because he at least threw something in there on behalf of people in the gig economy. While everyone's talking about what Bernie Sanders doesn't get accomplished, Bernie Sanders managed to get a provision in that bill to make sure people in the gig economy get something. But overall, it is woefully insufficient. And it is a symbol of the brokenness of our system, that in the time of our greatest need, the time of the greatest crisis that we've seen in a generation, quite possibly the greatest crisis that we would have ever seen in this country, period. Our political class failed us. Our billionaires, our ruling elite, they have failed us, as they just, that was the plan all along. They had no intention in engaging in good faith with us. And I swear that's the part that drives me into a fury. To the point where they would rather see people die than to make the adjustments that are necessary right now. Right now, today, we should have every city shut down Every single person in this country should have had a credit on their bank account, or if they don't have a bank account, then a credit on their prepaid card. If they don't have a prepaid card, then the last thing that we want to do, but we do it, is to actually mail out a physical check. But every single person in this country should have had money sent to them so that we can consume only for the purposes of calming the people's fears. The fact that people are so tied to paying their bills, their program. They don't know how to do anything else but pay their bills because that's how we have been programmed. Our greatest fear is not paying our bills. We have nightmares about not paying our bills the way people have nightmares about not showing up to class, to college, and they graduated from college 30 years ago. You know, the recurring dream we all have. That's the anxiety that's built in us about these bills. And they are allowing us to face that anxiety, which is without any assistance from the government, because that's what's going to drive people to get up and go out and get exposed and potentially die. All so that the Republican, all so that the ruling elite in this country, both Democrat and Republican, won't have to see their portfolios crash any further. Versus the opposite end of the opportunity, right? The opportunity here is for us to pay Americans enough money to keep them home, flatten the curve, consumption continues, bills continue to be paid. This is an obscene thing about it. It was never enough for them to get our money at the end of the process. See, if you put money in the hands of every American, that money is going to be spent anyway, and it's going to go into the hands of all of these corporations anyway. They were going to get rich anyway. You could literally give every American $10,000 a month, and this economy will still be fueled because people are going to consume and billionaires are going to end up winning anyway. But that was never enough. It was not enough for them to just get the money at the end. They had to get the money at the beginning. They had to get it directly from the government. And in this instance, that means they want us to go out and work in the middle of a plague. Kiss my ass. Every single one of them.
Perhaps Mr. Duncan was right in suggesting that we may be overreacting, but I believe that the American people want us to be safe rather than sorry. I think they will forgive us if we end up doing things and spending money that in the long run may turn out not to be necessary, if in fact we are going forward vigorously to prevent what could be a horrible, horrible situation. I think we all remember or read that in 1918, some 50 million people in this world died from an influenza epidemic, and I think it is beholden upon our country and governments throughout the world to do everything that we can in every way to protect the American people and people throughout the world. I think Mr. Kucinich a moment ago raised some very important issues, and the issue is that our job as the government of the United States of America is not to worry at this moment about the corporate profits of the Roach Company or any other drug company, but to make certain that we are doing all that we can to prepare for what could be a terrible pandemic. I hope that in that context, we can all agree that now is not the time to be tiptoeing around intellectual property rights or for letting bald-faced profiteering inhibit our ability to prepare for a pandemic.
That's the voice of, obviously, you know, that is Bernie Sanders, but he was Representative Bernie Sanders at the time back in 2005, saying exactly, it was so prescient what he was saying. People saw this coming. And one of the critical things about this is that in a pandemic, man, I honestly, I think this could apply to any virus for that matter. Anything that had the capacity to spread and be so contagious, which means that we can't participate with one another. We can't participate in this system without getting sick. Anything that strikes at our participation in this system would have had the same effect. Unfortunately, it required a virus for us to realize the brokenness. No. To expose very clearly and very plainly to anyone looking who hasn't been paying attention before, but now they're paying attention now. The virus has exposed the frailty and the weakness and the insufficiency of our current system. And now the Republican Party with a handful of Democrats. Now, Democrats are running back. Democrats are running away from this. Remember Andrew Cuomo the other day? He put out that graphic basically saying we're trying to find the right balance between lives and the economy. Well, after we kicked a fit on social media, all of the Democrats finally said, okay, we can't go that far with Republicans. We can't go to the point where we'll say, okay, we'll go back to work so we can save the economy and a few people are going to die. But that's just what it's going to take. But here we are. Here we are at the time when this virus is exposing to those who weren't paying attention before, but now they are, how broken our system is and how dependent this system is on workers, on labor. Billionaires are the only people, the rich billionaires and their media mouthpieces. They are the only ones who are like, oh my God, we've got to get back out to work. Most working class people, I mean, I'll be honest with you, how many of you got money? I know I have a diverse crowd, so I know some of you probably have quite a bit of money in the stock market. So my apologies to you in advance. But for the most part, most of us ain't got a goddamn penny in the stock market. Most of us don't have 401ks. Most of us don't have any type of retirement. Most of us don't have any pensions that are tied to the stock market. And so when the stock market crashes, most of us are like, what's the stock market? You know, most of us they're two totally different economies. There's the working economy where all we do is work. We just work. We give them all of our labor. We give you all of our consumption. We give you everything that we have. And now they're asking us to give us our lives so that their portfolios can be sustained. I think the absolute not. I don't know how much I mentioned this on the show yesterday, but please try to minimize how much you go to the grocery store. I hope you have gotten your groceries as you need to stretch it, ration it, but stop exposing. Stop it. We have to kill the demand for the grocery stores for a minute so that these kids, these teenagers, and some of them are elderly. Some of these people are elderly working at the grocery stores. They have not gotten a break yet. They have been fully exposed to all of the people in the community that could potentially have the virus, and we have not given them a break yet. And even if you can't have empathy for them, which I know in my audience, we have an abundance of empathy, but for some random person who's listening, who's like, I don't care, just give me my goddamn groceries. Well, consider this in your own selfish best interest. If the grocery store's food supply chain crashes, you aren't getting any groceries in about 2 weeks or 3 weeks from now. So if we help flatten the curve in the grocery industry, then your greedy, selfish ass can get some groceries later on. Now, I'm talking to the person who doesn't have any empathy. Now, for those of you who have some empathy and you understand and you're like, well, Ben, I just got to get some groceries. I mean, I did not have enough time. My job didn't, whatever the case may be, order them online. Order them online. Let it be delivered, decontaminated when they get to your house. We got to stop putting these elderly people and these teenagers at risk. And the reason Instacart, the service that provides people who you can order your groceries online and people go and shop, right? They're getting ready to hire 300,000 more people. That's 300,000 more people that they're hiring as independent contractors that are going to be put into what's going to be the new incubators for this virus. I know I recall very thoroughly talking about this yesterday, but I just want to stress this again. If there's any way at all possible, you as a consumer can ration what you have for at least the next few weeks, without going out and buying a whole nother box of Oreo cookies or oatmeal cream pies, then that will help somebody not get exposed. Every single individual we can save at this point matters tremendously. All right. Listen to this audio of Joe Biden, who made his triumphant return on Monday, and then he went on a press tour yesterday. And I use the word triumphant tongue in cheek. You decide for yourself.
Dangerous species. We have to take care of the cure. That will make the problem worse no matter what. Why doesn't he just act like a president? That's a stupid way to say it.
You know, Donald Trump was asked
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, probably best I don't. I just can't figure the guy. I don't know, it's like watching a yo-yo. I shouldn't have said it that way. It's like watching.
It feels that way. I want to ask.
We need to activate the reserve corps of doctors and nurses and beef up the number of responders dealing with these crush of cases. And in addition to that, we have to make sure that we are in a position that we are. Well, let me go to the second thing. I've spoken enough of that. We can make a personal productive equipment. Look, here's the deal. We have to do what we did in the 40s and the 20s, the 2020s, tending to our elderly loved ones. This is the United States of America.
No comment. I'm not going to add another damn thing to this, except for this. Donald Trump, I lied. Donald Trump is getting ready to oversee the deaths of between 300,000 and 3 million. I don't even know. Like, God, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I get to eat my words on this, but my God, we have some terrible days ahead. And to think that the Democratic Party is playing around with this man, Joe Biden, who at this point is elder abuse, and the disingenuousness of all the commentators, all of the media pundits who are just trying to help him help him to make it to the finish line. If they could just get him over the finish line, and the finish line is defined as getting rid of Bernie Sanders, because that's all this is really about. Even though Bernie Sanders' policies are quite literally the ones that can help save as many lives as humanly possible, but that's not. We're in the middle of Democrats playing politics as usual in the middle of a goddamn pandemic. Republicans, they're not playing politics as usual. They've ratcheted it up, saying we need you to die and sacrifice yourself on behalf of capitalism. Like, Democrats are focused so hard on getting rid of Bernie Sanders, who has the policies that will save as many lives as possible, that they're getting ready to put up a person who can't string together a coherent thought to save his life. And they're going to put him up against Donald Trump, who's going to preside over potentially millions of Americans dying. And then Donald Trump is going to get a second term. It is the damnedest thing that I've ever seen in my life, but it is the timeline that we are stuck in. And it dawned on me the other day, if this is the timeline that we're stuck in, then there's probably an asteroid headed to our way. If this is how our movie is written, then there's probably an asteroid headed our way, and we'll find out about it as soon as we recover from this. We gotta do better. We cannot stay on this trajectory. We can't afford politics as usual. We gotta get these people out of office, both Democrat and Republican, because our lives, our future depends on it. That's my music. That's my time. Patrons, you stay tuned. You know what's happening after this music. Everyone else, if you want to get access to twice the content, none of the ads, patreon.com/the BPD show. If not, I'll see you tomorrow. Take care, everybody.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.patreon.com/the BPD show and support the Benjamin Dixon Show. If you like this episode, be sure to share, like, and subscribe.